Welcome back to part 3, where I'm trying to make this idea of a canard delta configuration just work. In part 1, I expressed my exasperation of my own failures on this design, and my perceived inability to get this configuration to, well, work. The second episode was an apples-to-apples comparison of my design to the Grippen that is indigenous to the game. And in this third one, I wanted to do a quick comment on a different configuration, and then wrap up this journey that you all have taken with me. So, for the final iteration of this airplane, I wanted to move away from the canard delta and explore something else in order to make it more capable in a turning fight, because by now, I've given up on its interceptor ability. For that, I'll need to start all over again. So, I decided to be boring, and I initially went back to just making an F-16, 2 wings and a rear stabilator. Now, that gave me some increase in turn performance, but then I turned to the flanker family, which uses a 3 control surface design. The B-1 uses a similar design philosophy as well, but for different reasons. The Su-27 and its offshoots are considered to be some of the most successful and most maneuverable aircraft in existence, and so there must be something in this configuration. To be honest, there is. Adding the third surface brought additional turn performance, but to be honest, it had no more than the revised canard configuration seen in part 2. However, having 2 configurations that can sustain 3 plus Gs in a turn is a good step in the right direction. The 3 control surface design has a lot of good ideas, but I won't be exploring them on this design any further. It's time for a clean sheet design in order to start working on that. But on the topic of playing with design ideas, I really gravitate towards ideas that seem good but never really took off. That's why I chose the dorsal intake. It was conceptualized and used on the never-produced F-107. The air intake was put on the top of the aircraft because the belly was needed for the carriage of a nuclear warhead. Now, the F-107 wasn't selected for this fighter program. Instead, the honor went to the F-105, Thunder Chief, that would make its name known in Vietnam as a conventional bomber and as a wild weasel. But, while this one idea may work aerodynamically, it creates a lot of other problems. For one, there's no room for fuel in the fuselage, and by extension, other equipment as well. Second, thinking about it from a practicality standpoint, the dorsal intake isn't practical for inspection from just the walk-around pre-flight. And finally, some people think it's ugly. I don't know about that, but I do think that as a design choice, it's a poor one. I also think it's easy to get bored with the same configurations of side intakes and ventral intakes like the F-16 and the Grippen, but throughout this process, I think one major takeaway for me is learning about this idea of iterative design. Airplanes like the F-16 and the Grippen, and even the flanker family, are the way they are not because of accident, but by detailed design studies until they become what they need to be in order to meet the requirements. Which is why when you look at early ideas of these airplanes, sometimes they never actually resemble what they ultimately have become. There might be some design elements there at the beginning that survive all the way through, but a lot of times there's not. Finally, I also think it's important to post your failures. They say the greatest teacher is failure because you can learn more through failure than success. It's also said that art is never finished, it's only ever abandoned. And I'm starting to think the same is true with airplane and airplane design. So as we wrap up part 3, thank you so much for coming with me on this journey. Leave your good ideas in the comments section as always, and if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. A subscription will also help us grow this channel and attract more aviation lovers just like yourself. And as always, thanks for watching.